Imeall anocht. Sail I pictúr le John G. Morris. Filiocht Arán agus scéalte le Rhyme, Rant and Ran. GMIT a letter frac I gulbhú le haig taspántas in farmlí agus séhir úr rinke body duet. Fachach sa sail green grafadorta is se John G. Morris agus mar agahort pictúr le Haiti Time, a New York Times agus National Geographic chuir se chud is na hiamhána is suntasaí ó aibsir an darcha go down the raig in ar láthir. Chatan scanán or Cathy Pearson súlgéir ar héal is ar a héhirt leis an scanán Get the Picture agus beag an scanán san le feicáil ag féile scanán chuircií ar an 16 saoin. Lear an verticalin faoin doggur úd.
I am a journalist, but not a reporter and not a photographer. I am a picture editor. For more than 50 years, I have hired scores of photographers, some of them famous, others unknown. I've testified for them in court, nursed them through injury, fed them, buried them. I have bought and sold their pictures for what must total millions of dollars. I have sent them out on assignment, sometimes with a few casual suggestions, other times with detailed instructions. But always the challenge is the same: get the picture.
I was in Paris and I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's a film editor, and we were just chatting and catching up. I hadn't seen her in 6 months, and we were talking about film and what we're doing and what we're up to. And while we were chatting, I noticed that there was this man sitting very close beside us, because the tables are always close together in these cafes in Paris. And he was listening into us. He was listening into our conversation the whole time. And I didn't really mind, and we kept chatting and talking away. And then he said, "Excuse me, ladies, I'm listening to your conversation and it's very interesting. But do you know that I once directed Alfred Hitchcock?" And we just went, oh. So we got involved in a chat with him, and he started talking to us. And he spoke to me then a little bit about his time with Cartier-Bresson and Kappa and Marc Ribot and all the great photographers of the 20th century. And he gave me his book. He gave me his memoirs. And then one day I just started reading the book, and I was halfway through it, and I got an email from John saying it was really nice to meet you, and if you're ever back in Paris, let's catch up. So I told him I was reading his book and asked him had anyone made a film about him, and he said a few had tried. So I said, okay, well, how about letting us have a go of it? And he said, sure. Well, this was on a Monday. He said, sure, well, can you get here by Wednesday? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. That's how the whole thing started, really.
I had begun working for Life magazine as an office boy in 1939. Life was the #1 large format illustrated magazine in the entire world, and by 43 it was selling at probably 3 or 4 million copies a week. These were the days before television. It was hard for Life to keep up with the demand. The lead story in Life had to be strong pictorially, or it wouldn't be the lead story. So for me, I accepted that as a principle, and I continue to this day to think in terms of picture first and text second.
At that point, it was really not 100% clear to me where we were going with the story. It wasn't until I got to know John really well, and to know his thoughts and his philosophy and his ideals on the world, and we gel. We kind of connect on a lot of those philosophies, so his thoughts would match mine in a lot of places.
I think the film will have a clear message. It also happens to be kind of a love story, because I've been married, I've been a widower 3 times. A lot of men have been married 3 times, but I've been a widower 3 times after about 20 years with each. And now at age 95, I have a wonderful 86-year-old girlfriend.
Honest to God, I mean, I was only 93 when I fell in love with an 84-year-old. We've now had more than a year together, and it's wonderful. If I can do it, if we can do it, why can't everybody?
I think having John here in Dublin for the last 2 days has been there's been loads, but definitely one of the highlights of the job so far. He had so much fun here, and he just loves being around young people. He loves being around a whole new medium for him, because filmmaking's not hasn't been his thing, but it's been a lot of fun having him here, and showing him the rough cut was a really big deal and quite nerve-wracking, but his response was positive, so I'm really happy about that today.
Pictures today are the medium of our times, and this is good and bad because everyone in the world thinks he's a photographer and goes around making pictures, and there's a flood of really mediocre pictures as well as some really good ones out there.
Paolo Pellegrini is a totally new experience to me in photography. He takes pictures which at first made me very uncomfortable. He didn't pay much attention to horizons. I'm pretty much a conventional in terms of landscape, at least. I think the landscape the earth is normally flat. Paolo sees beyond the frame of his viewfinder, and he brings a sense of the outside world into his prints, which is wonderful. And he's also a man who deals in blacks and deep shadows. He's a new kind of photojournalist whom I'm just getting used to.
I hope that there will be a message in the film, and the message doesn't come just from me. It comes from my colleagues as well. There are wonderful interviews with photographers, with Christiane Amanpour of CNN.
He has had the most incredible career. Despite the odds, he's covered and edited and been there, you know, from before D-Day to right now. He's really so involved, whether he's actually professionally involved in taking photos or editing right now, or just being involved in the stories of our time.
I still, despite the terrible state of the world today, I remain kind of an optimist. It's my hope that the film being made by Ferndale will reach a wide audience, particularly of young people. I'm very grateful that it's being made. It's a very courageous film, and I find it's a pleasure for me to work on it.
Rhyme, rant and ran an tedal tar showstáitse úr in bhfuil meascán den bhilíocht aróníocht agus scéalaocht. Bheadh siad a mermaid an ré ar an 7 saoin ach bhuail is isteachacha agus iad an ruthdatha ó Chianamh agus lear mé le Theo Dorgan, Len Graham agus Jack Lynch faoin show úrsan.
And we once had a doctor and his name was Dr. Black. He fell down the well and he sprained his neck. Well, you know it served him right, for he ought to have stayed at home. Doctors heal the sick and leave the well alone. Raya, we to Raya, we to Raya, Raya along, we to Raya, we to Raya, hey.
Theo Dorgan, iniste mai adar an seolsa.
Rhyme, rant and ran a thugad mí there. Well, táim sé in frontíiseach an bheirt seo tá an bheirt ré go bhhail bóthair leis na cínta le ag áráníocht agus Jack ag sin scéalt agus bréga áféiseachta. Agus ceapar hasí, is tóil am héangar hasí go an levéile íslú beagání, so haring iad ar fille isteach. Ach tá mé ar mórnis, seo an chuigá a stáilm, go méid ar an stáitse. Agus tá go geanis
And the ferryman said, you can't bring that animal on board. He would shy and he'd be jumping over car bonnets and all this. So Pecker thought for a while and he ushered all the family on board the ferry, and then he managed to get this horse or pony, whatever, into the cart and strapped into the cart securely, got between the two shafts of the cart and wheeled the cart on board the ferry and made it across to the other side. So the story goes.
Theo tá an éilebert ag éilte le tríochtagus mar sin do bíonn tú léamh go minic. Bhfuil sé deas an stáitse roinnt le daoine agus an cóidir san bheith.
Is únta ar fad mar sí tá go bíonn tú a éonrán, is díalachta chu agus é tú eileach ará flirt. Ach nuair a bhíon anáis dialectic sin ar do na hórán agus na scéalt agus na dáanta, tarlaí in rud sa bhreis, you know? Sin ráid a bhí mar thuas ní éirigh mé cará mar ach annig duine suas chuing na agus sé well just buna san nuiri sin teanamh as na hárán agus as na scéalta agus the sad poems were good too. Dúirt sé.
Kilmainham Jail, Dublin, Easter 1991. Roadies in ponytails, stringing lights and cables. A beer can popped in the corner, echo of sound check. We poured through the narrow gate under the gallows hook in 2s and 3s, becoming an audience. Before the lights go down, we examine each other shyly. The singer surveys his audience, heat rising to the tricolour and plough overhead, as the first words of Galvin's lament climb to invoke James Connolly's ghost. We are joined by the dead.
You're on a pretty extensive tour with the lads now for a while. Are you tempted to embellish the stories somewhat?
Well, the stories are always been embellished. I'm not working from a script, you know.
Yeah.
And we take our cues from each other. Something Len might say or Theo might say will remind me of a story. So before I stand up to tell the story, there'll be a bit of, chat. And I mean, last night I found myself talking about my father and my grandfather in a way it had never occurred to me to talk about them on stage before, There were those two who came back from America. Indeed, some who only went over to see what time it was. One such was Mick the Fiddler, and he complained the climate in New York didn't agree with him. He kept getting a crick in the neck from looking up at all the tall buildings.
Have you found on this tour that you're reaching out to a different audience by combining all three?
Exactly, that's part and parcel of the thing that we're all bringing in people from that wouldn't normally become along to traditional singing or to storytelling or to poetry.
Come over the moor, my bonny wee lass, come over the moor, my honey.
It's a natural, like my father was a storyteller, my grandfather. It was the songs and stories and poetry, dance, music, they're all part of the same family. And it's a very natural thing to bring them together,
It's rud down there, agus na téimi a bhíonn na hárán atá. Ag len, feite go for lachans down there. So, spragan sé an sais machnamh sin, gwil cultúr dar gwil héna going, ach go roinna míad le gach éine ar down there.
Na bíon bhitis spragan na scéalta go léir.
Yeah. Agus an aspa ego and rud is sunta sí faoi, just, Bín, Irene go brála hórá mai fáin scéal búl basti up it, right? Fúr amór na trúr an búla bast an scéal sin, don around sin.
Father did la, Tiraira. Very good, Hank.
Fáilte Harnash, we'll make taspantas agus go tomorrow in Farmley in a make Troscan taspaint a yar Miclane, Irviclane, agus buil forna in GMIT a letter frack. Tá coláiste deir Troscanson a ceiliúr cuaig bliana sfethe ó buniche, agus chuigar dúisgart Roisin Nichnéile ann chun scéalan choláiste a híl siú dúin.
Tá an seo letter frac gan Mara agus stigan sás a GMIT tá breis scácéad dahad scoláire ag fála mar leabhar cuasaí deara Troscáin agus a ddíra isteachar an deara agus ar an technoliacht. Tá saime gom fálamach cén fá ar bunaíodh an cláiste deara seo agus chunas atá sé inis ar ceantas na cláistí deara is fear san orb.
Tá trí céim an óireachta atála déanamh an seo I letter frac. Sin é dearcha Troscáin, technoliacht Troscáin agus tréanáil I ábhar technoliacht do múntóirí Manscoile.
Right, agus tána chud scoláirí goibh an sá tá hartar gácéad chuig an uair déag an tú.
Beidir, tá timpeall an figure sin.
An cláiste fíor go nóach tagan daoine sa ón tír seo agus tagan daoine ó tír eile an tagan siad chun fadéir.
Níos mó bíonn siad ón Gaillimh agus Mayo agus na áitina timpeall ach bíonn an tír go léir tagan siad. Agus freisin bíonn Erasmus students ag teacht an seo.
Agus den si tagan siad an sá chun stadéir ard caiidáin ibre ar siúil an sá. Imeall inistam mar Connemara West agus an róla bhí goibh an bonú na háite seo.
Well, bonú Connemara West I níidir seachta héin, seachta dó. Agus is le muinte na háite an seo hé, mar ceannis go léir scarna in san cólacht. Ceanni mar an Shannon Industrial School an seo Little Frack. Now, ní rá is ag an am céad dhéanaimiis leo. Agus chahamar cúpla bliain ag irí cuaich árar mar bhí siad. Well, ní rá éon lectrachas an seo, ní rá éon isce rathe, ní hína faoine go briste, hína slinte imithe ón Jean agus rudí mar sin. Dúirt ga éine linn sa tíir go ramar go léir as an meabhar. Mar nar féidir linn Imeall chun teachta seach an seo agus rudí a chur a siúil an seo. Nis níl orlach cearnach in san onad na bhfuil á úsáid bhí láthar.
So Lisa, hána chud béimar an deara hóireacht in san cuasa seo. Agus inistam fin písa seo dhéantú nora.
Miring an project in himple motion. Riimiis muchan is isce na bhuiimení bods náidir agus daoine tap mo bháids teachas le bhuiimení ar a gcuine bhí báiltúcar agus bhí si agus sí seola agus í agus sí gimocht os cin an ámad bhí ná ben rí.
So Dermot, tell me about this exhibition that you're preparing for in Farmley.
Well, it's the 25th anniversary of GMIT's base in Letterfrack. So what we're going to do this year is have an exhibition in Farmley on November the 1st for 8 weeks. And that'll involve a selection of student work from all our programs here in Letterfrack, as well as graduate and some staff work as well.
So some of the stuff is actually, it's functional, some of it is sculptural.
Yeah, most of it is functional furniture. The students do have quite a leeway in terms of their design focus, but usually it's the combination of design and technology skills into the actual manufacture of furniture pieces as well. So there's always a practical output, and very much project-based learning is the key to our programs here.
And so how much time would they actually spend designing now? Like it's just, or is it half and half? Or?
So it depends on the specialism. If they're on a furniture design and manufacture program, then usually the initial brief allows them the exploration of the design process and research. And then it's into design development or concept development, and then they actually always manufacture a prototype as well. So what you see around you really are usually first prototypes.
And so where do they go from here when they graduate from here?
It's very mixed. They could end up in a bespoke furniture maker. They could end up in a large manufacturing area. A lot of them we have a part of our programs, all our programs are a placement, so they do 20 weeks placement within the program. And a lot of them are actually finding that those placements are generating jobs for them now as well.
I'm really attracted to these pieces here.
These are called spot lamps, and as you can see, the shape of the dog in them, but they're simply made manufactured from MDF panels.
Right.
And then put together, as you can see, with a very simple fitting, using acrylic on the back, and again using some nice branding techniques here.
Tell me about these pieces.
So these pieces, I suppose, are a good example of students on the technology program as opposed to the furniture design program. And these students would have been given these designs per se, but the project for them and the learning for them would be how to manufacture them in a way that's suitable for batch production.
And would you find that some of your, like obviously some students are stronger in design?
Some students come to us and they think they want to be designers, but actually they're very strong technology people.
Right.
And it's that understanding of the subtle differences. To be a designer, you really have to have an awareness and appreciation of design. To be a good technology student, you have to really like how to work things out, how to see how things get made and work out those problem solvings. So they're two very different problem solving sets if you think about it.
Nor a bhí miisiigh fáú san seo, más rud é go neanna tú rud a bé is an mealach. Bhí an bagad seo an go raibh tú go Little Frack go raibh. agus is sort pinos a bhí sin. Agus bhí sin arsúla bheith fud na tír fad mar Ginnis le an daoine dom nó a bhí mar cansfuile te freic a hanis tá cúplicéad gap líon a dhéirí teachtasteach le te freic trígan CAO agus a dhéirí áitina áil an seasta chláiste.
Body Duet an tedal tar fisa rinca úr le Irish Modern Dance Theatre a tar camachúirt náisiúnta faoi láthair. Beic siad sa Town Hall sa Ghaillimh ar an gcathair láideag agus sa doc i gcuiread rum a rúisc ar an séú láideag, agus fágamid sibh anocht leis an choreography John Scott agus le mír óna héithir úr Body Duet. Iwa.
Cléin Body Duet leis an smaoinemh nó coincheap faoi grá. Grá san ama tá hart agus atá le ceart. Bert Rincór fuirfa anracha spreag an piasa, Philip Connaughton as Baile Hotlia agus Michelle Boulay as New York. Ní faoin grá a bháin ach is faoin saoil é.